Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe.
Shayna Baszler dominates and wins the Elimination Chamber, which should put an end to that Vince doesn't like Shayna story. We've got a new Intercontinental Champion, and Daniel Bryan and Drew Gulak have a Match of the Year contender in WWE. I am Luke Owen, and this is the WrestleTalk review of WWE Elimination Chamber 2020. Ring that bell. A week before the show, Elimination Chamber only had 3 matches announced, but as the week went on, more and more matches got added. And then, just a few hours before the show started, another match got added for the pre-show of Viking Raiders taking on, Zack, Ryder, and Curt Hawkins. Okay. Oddly, Hawkins and Ryder actually got quite a bit of offense in. Before the Viking Raiders killed them with the Viking experience, this accomplished nothing. What did accomplish a lot, however, was Daniel Bryan versus Drew Gulak, a match that had shades of the old 2000 era WWF, of Chris Benoit and Kurt Angle putting on technical clinics. If you listen closely enough, you could hear William Regal masturbating to this match. And he wasn't alone, because this was freaking awesome. Not only was it technically sound with impressive stuff, but it had incredible character work from both men. Bryan was rattled by Gulak knowing his playbook, and he had to be more vicious, which he certainly did when he kicked Gulak so hard he cut him under the eye. Gulak got his own back though by giving him the highest of high-angle German suplexes that folded Bryan up like a scary accordion. The finish saw both men trade submission attempts, with Bryan tapping him out with the yes lock. I loved this, and strongly believe this is the best WWE match in 2020 so far. And I was also really into Andrade versus Humberto Carrillo. I actually had Carrillo to pick up the belt here as Andrade was just coming back from his suspension, but I should have seen that Carrillo's gimmick is that he loses all the time. He lost a lot to AJ Styles over the United States Championship, and now he's lost loads to Andrade over the exact same belt. Like, where do you go with Carrillo from here? Have him go for the United States Championship for the billionth time only for him to fail again? In fairness, this was a good match, which is to be expected as these two are ace. And the pinning combinations at the end of the match did have me popping out of my seat. It just sucks that Carrillo has seemingly been Cedric'd. The Tag Team Elimination Chamber was surprisingly quite botchy given the talent involved. It's almost as if the ropes were too loose or something. It seems like everyone who tried springboard moves slipped. Kofi slipped, Lucha House Party slipped, Morrison slipped. It also seems that there was just too much going on, and everyone was never quite in the right position. The funniest example being Lince Dorado doing an admittedly very impressive shooting star press from the top of the cage, but it took forever to set up and just left everyone awkwardly standing around waiting for the stunt to happen. Sadly, this might have been the reason that the crowd died a little bit, and I'll be honest, they never really recovered for the rest of the show. Well, they were quiet for a lot of this match, but they were super loud for the best storyline in WWE right now, Otis versus Dolph Ziggler. Ziggy and Bobbert Roode were perfect bully dick heels as they wound Otis and Tucker up throughout the match, and Otis is perfectly cast as the guy with a heart as big as his massive thighs. All of the Dolph Otis stuff was fantastic, brilliantly capped off with Otis missing a charge on Dolph and flying outside of the cage itself. Tucker got pinned and the pair looked so sad as they left. The crowd really weren't into the rest of the match and were rather ambivalent to Miz and Morrison wrestling in slow motion. The heels retained by pinning the Usos. This crowd that loved Bryan and Gulak earlier in the night were oddly silent for AJ Styles versus Aleister Black in a no DQ match, which is a shame as this was more good action. Styles worked over Black's leg, taking him off his Black Mass base and also setting up the calf crusher. But perhaps the crowd were sitting on their hands as they were all asking the same question. Why aren't Gallows and Anderson constantly interfering in this match and beating up Aleister Black? Like, it's no DQ. And you could have eliminated this question early by having Black take Gallows and Anderson out before the match, which would have made their end of match mauling of Black even more dastardly. The crowd did pop for kendo sticks and chairs and tables because Philadelphia, but really they were just waiting for the Undertaker's massive dong to make an appearance. And appear it did, choking out Gallows and Anderson and chokeslamming AJ Styles, allowing Black to hit the Black Mass for the win. Simple build for the big Mania match between Styles and Taker, but this big win didn't really feel like it put Aleister Black over. AJ was the better wrestler in the match, and Black only won because of a big dong doing a big chokeslam. Black sold brilliantly throughout the match, but again he was the background for the bigger marquee match that he's not a part of. It's a bit like how he won the Buddy Murphy feud, but Murphy actually went on to get a storyline with Seth Rollins and AOP, and Black went back to a cupboard. I've seen a few people suggest online that they could do a triple threat at WrestleMania between Black, Styles, and Taker, which would be a smart move as AJ and Black can do all the heavy lifting and Taker can pop in every now and again to do his signature stuff. But this win for Black didn't feel like it was furthering a feud with AJ Styles or setting something up for WrestleMania, so where do you go with Aleister Black from here? The crowd didn't pick up for Street Profits defending their Raw Tag Team Championships against Seth Rollins and I'm Not Your Buddy Murphy guy either. But that could be because this is the third time these two teams have had this match in 2 weeks. And sadly, this was probably the worst of those 3 matches. The dead crowd didn't pop for either Montez Ford or Angelo Dawkins' hot tags, and didn't give Rollins and Murphy the heel heat they probably deserved. Viking Raiders came out to brawl with AOP, some say they're still brawling to this day, and Kevin Owens showed up in the crowd with disgustingly yellow popcorn to distract Seth Rollins. Seriously, why was this popcorn that color? I've seen less yellow in episodes of The Simpsons. And Seth Rollins was clearly distracted by this luminous monstrosity, which Owens threw into his face, and Street Profits picked up the win by pinning Murphy to get all the smoke they desire. Owens gave Seth the stunner and dumped more of the disgusting popcorn on Murphy, stealing the Riot Squad's old gimmick. Yeah, it wasn't the best match of this series. The Raw title switch and Super Letdown matches were way better, but it served the purpose of setting up Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens for WrestleMania. A match that a lot of people were making fun of in the lead up to Elimination Chamber was the 3-on-1 handicap match where Braun Strowman took on League of Nations 2.0 of Sami Zayn, Cesaro, and Shinsuke Nakamura. Why are you a team? It was made fun of because it was a little bit silly, and everyone figured it was just a way for Braun to do his run-around spot and wipe the silly heels out. But instead what we got was a lot more surprising and a lot more fun. Sami cut this promo before the match where he said he was going to do all the heavy lifting for his team, and then instead played keep away from Braun, who wanted to give him some hands. Sami was, to be blunt, brilliant in this match. Braun was King Kong and Sami was a biplane that wouldn't leave him alone. It was really quite fantastic, and it only got better when Sami and his heeled buddies kicked Strowman in the head so Zayn could pin him and become the new Intercontinental Champion. Sami Zayn, 4 years after his main roster call-up, has finally won some gold, and it was ruddy perfect. And it wonderfully sets up a singles match for WrestleMania between Zayn and Strowman, where Braun can go super beef, get some hands, and squash Zayn like a bug. And I will love it, and it will be brilliant. And then the main event of the show was a very divisive affair. Although I didn't think it was perfect, I really quite loved this match. Laurie Blake also loved this match in our live stream reactions, but the chat didn't like it. And the feedback I've had on Twitter would also suggest that Baszler running through the entire Raw women's roster wasn't warmly received. Perhaps it was the fact that it seemed incredibly obvious that Baszler was going to win. After all, she was penciled to win the Royal Rumble to set up her match with Becky Lynch at WrestleMania, a feud that's been brewing since Survivor Series last year. And Raw has been solely built around these two having a WrestleMania match and not giving anyone a hope in hell of winning, which they didn't. Ruby Riott and Natalya got to do some stuff, and Sarah Logan cosplaying as Duck Dynasty had a bit of time to shine, but it was all about Shayna. She came in, tapped out Logan, tapped out Riott, and tapped out Natty. Even the build to the blow-off between the Riott Squad members never actually happened, as Ruby and Logan were eliminated before Liv even got in. And then poor Liv Morgan, whose 2020 push has been nothing short of disastrous, was ricocheted as she got pummeled by Baszler and passed out in a couple of minutes. It was all to build to Shayna Baszler versus Asuka, the match we were supposed to get on Monday. And both Baszler and Asuka made this feel like a big deal, working up the crowd as best they could. And the two went at it, and Baszler tapped her out fairly quickly with a Kirifuna clutch. Asuka looked better than everyone else, but it needed to go 5 or so more minutes to really build and amplify Baszler's win. As has been pointed out to us since we praised it so much on the live stream, WWE effectively jobbed out their entire Raw women's roster to build one name heading into WrestleMania. Can you take Ruby Riott, Natalya, Logan, and Morgan seriously after that performance? Certainly not Liv Morgan, who was made to look like a total joke. However, I do think this worked, and the Mania match with Becky was the end goal, and I think WWE achieved what it set out to do. So yeah, I liked it. they made Shayna into a star. And as I said at the top of this video, this dominating performance by Baszler really should put to bed that rumor that Vince McMahon doesn't like her and didn't want her to be in the Mania match, because she was made to look like a total star and really the only star that mattered. So that was WWE Elimination 2020. Let me know what you thought of the show by voting in the poll above my head using these options on screen. Elimination Chamber 2020 was actually a lot better than many expected it to be. It was incredibly predictable from a certain point of view, but it quite neatly built to WrestleMania. If anything, you should go out of your way to watch Daniel Bryan versus Drew Gulak, as it was all sorts of lovely. I thought WWE Elimination Chamber 2020 was a high thumbs in the middle. The second episode of No Rolls Barred is live and it's weird. Check it out by clicking the video on screen, and click the other video to see Adam Blompier count down his favorite chamber matches of all time. I've been Luke Owen, and that was wrestling.